supercell shape on the radar, even though we are in South Florida. This is not something that only happens in the center of the country. And again, this is how this works. We've got this inflow coming in this way, the warm air coming in from the south. Behind it, we would have the circulation of the rain-cooled air coming back in, and that combination forms the spin. That's why you get that classic hook shape to the radar and where the spin and the tornado would be. And we're going to follow this one carefully. Again, west view by about 150, North Miami 153, North Miami Beach 156, and even over to Sunny Isles Beach by about 159 as this storm is moving off towards the north and east at about 15 miles per hour. Powerhouse storm here. We saw that picture that Viv started with, a classic image of that storm, and so we are definitely keeping our eye on this one. Jumping off towards the north now, we do have a tornado watch into the southeastern states, including Atlanta, including Greenville, South Carolina, including Charlotte. This goes through the rest of the day into the evening hours, meaning the atmosphere will be conducive to supporting storms that could have tornadoes right on through the rest of your day. Right now, we've got a whole smattering of severe thunderstorm warnings, including many of the counties just north of the Atlanta metro. So over Marietta, as well as the city of Marietta, I should say Cobb and Paulding counties, severe thunderstorm warning for you. Cherokee, Dawson, Forsyth, you also have severe thunderstorm warnings. This is largely because of hail reports across the area. And then we've been following these storms working their way off towards the north and east, including the Greenville-Spartanburg area, right? Greenville and Pickens counties, you are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning for these two storms. Large hail and gusty winds, the biggest threat with these, but we could see some rotation, especially for the storm just to the north and west of Greenville, starting to look a little bit more impressive. Viv, over to you.
Talk about the atmosphere being conducive for severe storms. That's what we had yesterday as well. Take a look at all of these storm reports, over 400 of them, anywhere from East Texas through parts of Kentucky, all the way back into northern Florida. You can see northern Georgia around the Atlanta metro area. The early hours of Sunday morning, we were waking up to tornado warnings in the area. So still watching the vicinity very, very closely. In fact, the past 6 hours, some of those reports have come out of northern Georgia, upstate South Carolina, even here into the western parts of North Carolina. Again, we've had reports of trees down because of some of the gusty winds associated with the storms, let alone the potential for tornadoes now, with winds could reach over 150, 200 miles per hour. Reports of a tree blown down on a mobile home here in Gastonia in North Carolina. So all across the South, we still have a very unstable atmosphere. Let's show you what an unstable atmosphere looks like as we take you outside of Atlanta. Looking at the radar too on the right there, you can see north and west of the metro area. Near Marietta, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, and you can see the skies. They are very ominous, but rightfully so. We'll keep you updated.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 86 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. This afternoon, thunderstorms with locally heavy downpours. A few storms may be severe. High 84. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 72. Chance of rain, 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
For joining us for Weather Center Live, I'm Vivian Brown.
And I'm Mark Elliott. And it quickly turned into a very busy afternoon across the eastern United States. A lot of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings coming up now.
In fact, we're watching mainly the southeast. You're looking right now at Miami. Look how dark the skies are, but rightfully so. Tornado warning out for Dade County there in Miami. We've had reports of possible funnel clouds near the international airport. So huge concerns here, possible tornadoes in and around Miami.
Yeah, the thunderstorm that produced produce this shot, right, had a tightening gradient of that spin for at least one frame of the radar. We're carefully monitoring that as it heads towards the coast. Meanwhile, the city of Atlanta under a tornado watch as well. You're looking live at the Coca-Cola World Headquarters building. Kind of a puffy cloud type of situation right now across Atlanta, but there could be some bigger storms as we work our way through the rest of the day. Hail, wind, and tornadoes all possible. And so this is an area that we're watching very carefully.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. Let's show you that radar as we detail the scenario down in Miami. Again, the thunderstorm forecast, you can see everywhere you see the red, including as far north as Philadelphia. But so far today, most of the action has been over northern Georgia and down across the... In fact, here's a look at the radar out of Miami. And you can see just north of town, crossing over Interstate 95. This is where we had reports of seeing that funnel cloud. Now, the warning has been allowed to expire, but nonetheless, still looking a little ominous on the radar picture as the storm continues to move off to the east and offshore here. But nonetheless, earlier, a funnel cloud was sighted at the airport. So we will continue to monitor this. Kind of a renegade thunderstorm we've been watching just to the north of that. In Fort Lauderdale, we have another thunderstorm that we'll continue to monitor as well. But even farther north in north central Georgia, including the Atlanta metro area, through upstate South Carolina, the western parts of North Carolina, this is an official tornado watch, and that means conditions will be favorable for tornadoes over the next 5 hours or so until 8 o'clock this evening. Now, severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued north and west of Atlanta, near the Marietta area, Cherokee, Cobb, and Fulton counties under severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, possible hailstones as well as gusty winds, dangerous lightning strikes too. And keep in mind, we're still watching for the potential for tornadoes in this area with that official tornado watch. Even as we head over here to the Gainesville area, we've been watching other thunderstorms develop just to the west of Gainesville. These two are moving off to the east to northeast. So Cherokee, Dawson, and Forsyth counties, you are under severe thunderstorm warnings. And even as we cross over into South Carolina, the upstate area, Greenville and Pickens counties under severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, the biggest threats, perhaps large hailstones, gusty winds, dangerous lightning strikes, and we cannot rule out the threat of tornadoes for the rest of the afternoon. We will be here, of course, monitoring the situation very closely, even in North Carolina later on today. Mark?
And you know, we're not done yet, Viv. We are also carefully watching the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic for some big weather. This, of course, coming on the heels of the second most active day for severe weather we've seen yet this year. Sunday saw more than 400 reports. So let's get into the Northeast, right? Because this is where we are concerned for later on today, another round of big weather, right? Philadelphia, a 4 out of 10 on the Torcon scale, a 40% chance of seeing a tornado within any 50-mile radius. Storms this evening will bring wind and large hail and that tornado threat. Now, you already had a bad morning commute in the Philadelphia area. This rain came through D.C., Baltimore, Philly, and New York. But you're now giving the atmosphere a chance to kind of retool and get ready for more big storms. This is the steady rain shield. Nothing severe in here. I'd be surprised if you even get a rumble of thunder. It's just a steady light rain. It's back towards LaGuardia where we have had some delays, some light rain there. In fact, let's take a live look into the New York City area and show you what it looks like for what you can see of it. You are in the clouds there in New York City, completely rain-soaked camera, and you're inside the cloud cover. And then underneath those clouds, here's Times Square. The headlights are shining on the wet pavement. People are still out and about, but there's plenty of umbrellas out there, even though the worst of the rain has moved out of New York City for now. That said, the airport still dealing with delays. Leaving LaGuardia, average delay about 30 minutes. Flying to LaGuardia could be an hour or more still at your area airport trying to get towards New York City. Again, Boston, just some light rain for now. This is all going to change later on. In between the rain shield that's moving through Boston and back towards the Appalachian chain, we're actually getting some sunshine. And so in between, we're getting that destructive, destabilizing feature. The sun heating the ground, that then heats the air, allows it to rise. So when storms move in later on this afternoon into this evening, through D.C., through Baltimore, through Philadelphia, you could then see a new round of severe weather. We're going to be carefully monitoring that because there is that chance for rotating storms and a Torcon of 4 for the Philadelphia area. Of course, we're talked about the delays in the air and in the road, but the rain isn't the only concern. The severe threat coming back in. Let's go live now to Reagan Medji. She is out in the Philadelphia area. Reagan.
A lot of ponding on walkways and streets here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania after a morning filled with heavy rain. Here's some of the ponding on this walkway on Kelly Drive here in the heart of Philadelphia. And then you're going to see some cars going through puddle right there on the corner. That puddle is just part of the localized flooding we're dealing with here in Philadelphia. And of course, that is causing some traffic delays throughout the area. There were also several reported delays at the airports. But this rain is tapering off and it's going to be cloudy for the rest of the day. Then at 6 o'clock at night, you have to be careful. At that point, there's a possibility of isolated tornadoes, hail, damaging winds, not only for Philadelphia, but also for Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Of course, we'll be back later in the evening to give you all the updates as they occur. Back to you.
All right, looking over the downtown area from the Coca-Cola headquarters, and you can see the very dark, saturated clouds that we're dealing with overhead, rightfully so. As we turn the radar beam a little north and west of the city, we are noticing severe thunderstorms fire as we speak, north and west of the city. Again, Atlanta down here. You can see Marietta as you get on Interstate 75. A pretty dangerous looking thunderstorm right overhead. I'm sure you're hearing the thunder, seeing lightning strikes, and we've been watching the velocity radar here. Possible tornadoes. Definitely will keep you updated because a tornado watch is in effect for this area. Again, this is the official radar, which shows the more vivid colors. Very dangerous thunderstorm overhead for you, Marietta, Georgia, and it's moving off to the northeast. So we'll continue to keep you updated for the rest of the hour. Keep it tuned right here.
Living longer. It's on the mind of every pet parent. And what we feed them matters. At Petco, pets are our sole focus. We handpick a unique selection of food to meet our high standards. Because when we feed them better, our companions thrive. Petco.
What's this?
A box. It takes worn out things and makes them better. Want to see?
Yeah.
Cool. What else you got?
It's our biggest breakthrough yet. We're taking worn-out batteries and making them into something strong. New Energizer Eco Advanced, world's first long-lasting battery made with 4% recycled batteries.
You drop 40 grand on a new set of wheels, then wham, a minivan T-bones you. Guess what? Your insurance company will only give you $37,000 to replace it. Depreciation, they claim. How can my car depreciate before its first oil change, you ask? Maybe the better question is, why do you have that insurance company?
With Liberty Mutual New Car Replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Morning's got you a little... Grab the good energy of Quaker Oats, one of nature's most perfect energy sources. It's how we help keep go-getters like you going and getting, one bite at a time. Quaker Up.
Control the weather, so we build things to harness it. This is about how far you can push yourself.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 86 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. This afternoon, thunderstorms with locally heavy downpours. A few storms may be severe. High 84. Tonight, thunderstorms early. Low 72. Chance of rain 60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
you got to do is show us something that's amazing out there. We love to see your pictures. Every picture you share, we'll try to share it as well right here on AMHQ.
I've got plans, and this is my baby right now. So it's just not the right time to get pregnant. That's why I chose Skyla. Skyla is the small, flexible IUD that prevents pregnancy for up to 3 years. So for me, there are no daily pills or monthly refills. I got my Skyla placed in just a few minutes at my OBGYN's office. And if I want to try to get pregnant, I can get it removed whenever I want.
If you have a pelvic infection, get infections easily, or have certain cancers, don't use Skyla. Less than 1% of users get a serious infection called PID. If you have persistent pelvic or stomach pain, or if Skyla comes out, tell your doctor. Skyla may attach or go through the uterus and cause other problems. Pregnancy while using Skyla is uncommon, but can be life-threatening and may result in loss of pregnancy or fertility. Ovarian cysts may occur, but usually disappear. Bleeding and spotting may increase in the first 3 to 6 months and remain irregular. Periods over time usually become shorter, lighter, or may stop. Skyla does not protect against HIV or STDs.
Talk to your OBGYN about making the move to Skyla.
Check with your insurance to find out if you can get Skyla at no cost.
It's more than a network and the cloud. It's reliable uptime and multi-layered security. It's how you stay connected to each other and to your customers. With CenturyLink, you get advanced technology solutions, including an industry-leading broadband network and cloud and hosting services, all with dedicated, responsive support. With CenturyLink as your trusted technology partner, you're free to focus on growing your business. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Thanks for joining us on the Weather Channel. The city of Atlanta is under a tornado watch right now. We even have tornado warnings just north of the city. We're watching as thunderstorms are rolling through the region, possibly some rotation with some of them. As we hone in a little bit closer, you can see DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties officially under tornado warnings.
So we are sticking with you as long as this tornado warning is ongoing, because this is a dangerous situation for the North Atlanta suburbs. A classic supercell shape to this thunderstorm, and you know what we're going to be able to draw on here? We got inflow coming in this way, and then rain-cooled air wrapping back around this storm. So you can see that we get the circulation started up, and that's the area of greatest concern. Right now, this is the view of the actual movement of the raindrops within the radar. Nothing too evident of seeing the real tight rotation, but that storm's certainly rotating.
Absolutely. The minute we begin to see some of the greens and the reds coming together in a more solid, consolidated area, that's when we'll really get a definitive signature on radar for possible tornadic activity. But again, right now, we still have that tornado warning in effect. And again, a little hook there showing you that the storms are very dangerous just to the east of the city of Marietta right now.
Yeah, so a couple of different areas of concern with this storm. As we time out the zone of the potential most destructive weather, if there's going to be a tornado, that's what's timed out. It does include Roswell by about 2:18, Johns Creek by 2:28, and Sugar Hill till 2:40. Again, this warning goes until 2:45. But again, it's not just the tornado that you have to be concerned about with these storms today. The north side of this area could see some really large hail and extremely heavy rains, and then in that kind of hook shape, that's where you would see a tornado if it were to get going.
And the very strong winds will accompany some of these storms as well. This is the perimeter, of course, 285 wrapping around the city, and you can see just outside of the perimeter on the north side of it, we are noticing these stronger storms. Again, Marietta over to Johns Creek, those are the biggest areas of concern as these storms continue to move east to northeast.
Yeah, and so the rest of this storm is under a severe thunderstorm warning for that potential of hail and wind, especially north. And then here we go. Let's zoom in that in a little bit closer if we can, Johnny D, because we've got some big hail being at least potentially reported with this storm as it moved through Marietta. So here's I-75. This is our hail tracker and what has already occurred. And those kind of lavender colors getting towards an inch in diameter, or even 2 inches, 1.9 now in those lavender colors.
Yes, and about 2 inches, you're talking about maybe getting up to golf ball size hailstones, so very dangerous, of course. Again, the city of Marietta has been the hardest hit, but it looks as right now that's moving even farther away and approaching the Roswell area as we speak.
Yeah, and again, here is the worst part of the storm. As we get to where we are right now, we have that classic shape to the supercell, and then right in here, that would be the hook that on the south side of our storm. If there's going to be a tornado, we have inflow winds coming this way, and right now, hard to say if we have any true couplet forming, spotty information coming in, but what we'd be looking for here are the green and red next to each other and touching real closely. Green going towards the radar, red going away, and in between you would have that circulation pattern.
Again, recapping everything for you, Atlanta, the metro area under a severe weather watch right now. A tornado watch has been issued until 8 o'clock this evening, so we'll be here for the rest of the evening watching for possible tornadoes. But right now, a tornado warning. That means that a tornado has either been detected on Doppler radar, which is the case in this instance, as we noticed just east of the Marietta area. Now, what do you do if you're east of Marietta and the Roswell area? Because we're talking about a tornado, so you need to be on the interior room on the lowest floor of your home, get away from all windows, in the basement if you have a basement, and get under a sturdy piece of furniture and try to put some padding over you just in case, like a sleeping bag or something like that. But a very dangerous situation just east of Marietta as the strongest of the storm has moved east, but approaching the Johns Creek area.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Roswell getting hammered on the heavy rain and hail part of this storm, and that we have proof of. We've been getting images in of new hail in Cobb County. Tom Faust sending this one in, covering the back patio with hail. I mean, it looks like it snowed out there, but no, those are small hailstones that have come down.
Yes, it looks like our hail tracker is verifying at this time. We had reports that hailstones were at least an inch, almost 2 inches in diameter, and this definitely verifies that with these current pictures out of Cobb County, again, where the severe storm is moving through as we speak.
Yeah, so hail size estimates at 2 inches in diameter, somewhere between golf ball and hen egg size. Granted, what the radar is doing is looking up and above, and so sometimes those hailstones can crash into each other, break apart, and become smaller. But that is certainly a potential. That's the largest hail potential. How about this? We're looking outside from our building. The 8th floor here. We have a multi-story building here at the Weather Channel headquarters, and we're looking from here north towards that storm. And what you can see there off in the distance is not only the structure in the clouds, but down towards the ground there is a wall cloud there, a lowered base to that storm, and then potentially a rain shaft or hail shaft coming out of that area as well.
Can we get that image maybe on this bigger monitor so we can actually point out where that wall cloud is and the lowering of the clouds? There you go, and there you have it. You can.
Yeah. So the general structure, but then we have the wall cloud here, that lowered base, and then we're watching this area down below it for the potential for more development. That is an ominous site there in North Georgia.
And that is why we're under a tornado watch right now, and again a tornado warning because Atlanta, of course, is south of the Marietta area, but we're focusing our attention, kind of aiming the radar beam to the north and west of the city, and that's where we're seeing scenes like this. Very, very dangerous.
So we had reports of a funnel cloud. We have reports of lots of hail across Cobb County where the storm has gone already. And looking north, we have this very ominous cloud. Again, the general cloud structure from here, and then this lowered base that we call the wall cloud. Sometimes we'll have rotation in there. And then from that area, you can get even more lowering. Not saying that this is a tornado. That can be deceptive when you see images like this, but that is something to keep in mind. We do have tornado warnings and tornado watches up. Again, on the left side of your screen, you're looking at the live view from downtown, also pointing up towards these storms. This is the Coca-Cola World headquarters building. So even in downtown, we're getting some big clouds to start to show up and fill in the Atlanta metro.
So those storms have quickly turned severe, and we're so happy that you have tuned in because we need you to know what you need to do if you're in the warned area. Again, go to the lowest floor of your home or your office building. Go to the first floor, get get into an interior room, meaning do not go to your window. Just get away from all windows and go to the middle part of the lowest floor of your office building, and just try and get under a piece of sturdy furniture if you can, because it is a very, very dangerous situation. Now, the storms are moving pretty quickly, so you won't have to be in shelter that long, but definitely you need to do so right now if you're in the Roswell area, even over to Johns Creek, because it's all moving to the east to northeast.
Yeah, we've got the timing up for you. I know it's
Yes.
small on that side of the screen, but we'll read it to you. 226 Newtown, 230 Johns Creek, 242 Sugar Hill, and 246 Rest Haven. This is the timing for the circulation part of the storm. As you can see, this window right in here is what is timed out. However, there's more to these storms. Yes, there may be a tornado, but there's also definitely extremely heavy rain and hail going on. So Roswell happening right now. You do not want to take your lunch hour and get outside right now. You want to stay inside, wait for this storm to pass.
In fact, let's go to our weather lab right now. Our own Carl Parker is standing by with more details. Carl.
All right, Viv, so we're watching this tornado warning on the north side of Metro Atlanta. Right now, I can tell you that we're not seeing evidence of very strong low-level rotation. We are seeing rotation in the mid-levels of the storm, and you saw that incredible picture taken by our Wayne Verno not very long ago. And that lowering right there is most definitely what we call a wall cloud. So that is the bottom part of that mid-level circulation. It also looks like there's a little protrusion coming from that. It's difficult to say exactly what that is, but certainly there is a wall cloud in that photo. So let's give you the particulars on the radar and show you what's going on with the storm. This is a tornado warning for DeKalb and Fulton and Gwinnett counties, and that's going until 2:45. And the movement on this cell is basically now off to the east at 35 miles per hour. We'll zoom down a little bit and take a look at where this is in the street level mapping. And so right in here, right in this little notch, that's a little inflow notch right there, that's where the tornado would be developing. And that is now coming right towards the 400 corridor, just north of Sandy Springs and very close to Roswell as well. That's the latest scan right there. So we are seeing what is called a pronounced hook echo on this storm. There is a circulation sitting right in here. It's a rotating storm for sure, but the question is it going to in fact be producing a tornado? If it does, that circulation will be coming up towards Mount Bethel at 217, 232 getting into Newtown, and then Johns Creek 239. Sarah, thank you. She's moving ahead a little bit. So that's going to move that to 241 Johns Creek and 235 in Newtown. Now, let's take a look at the high resolution radar and see what we can see of this storm. And again, if there was a tornado, it would be sitting right in here, right in that little notch right there. So here's your circulating part of the storm right through there. There's the inflow coming in right in here. And right in that little notch is where it likes to sit. Now, the other thing that you notice is that there's a large area of very heavy rain and hail off to the north, which we'll take a look at in a moment. Let's talk about the velocity mode here. So we'll look inside this storm. And again, the area that we want to interrogate is right in there. And we'll see if there is evidence of a low-level circulation. And right now there is of low-level circulation. It's not real tight, but there is evidence of low-level circulation right in there. It's certainly a lot stronger as you go up in elevation, but in the lowest levels, we are seeing sort of a looser circulation right now. So it's certainly possible that this storm is producing a tornado. Now, talking about the hail core, I'm going to go ahead and outline this area. That very deep core right there, right over Roswell, that's coming into Alpharetta and into that 400 corridor, the south side of Alpharetta. And we'll look for the gray in there. And we are, in fact, seeing a large area of gray, indicating that this storm is likely producing large hail. Could be 1-inch hail and maybe even larger than that. In fact, the radar indicating possibly even larger hail, maybe $half size hail. So again, going back to the velocity mode here, what we're looking at is a circulation, and there's a brand new scan. A new scan is just coming in. What we're looking at is a looser, broader circulation, which is not to say that this storm could not produce a tornado, but right now it is a looser circulation, and so we're we're not seeing a real tight circulation that we sometimes see in the cases of these tornado warnings. We'll go back to the radar, regular radar once again. And so the worst part of the storm, the most damaging part of the storm, is likely to be here coming through Roswell and along 400 right now. And again, it's possible that you've got a tornado circulation on the south side of that cell there. Mark, Viv, back to you.
Thanks, Carl. And you know, we're going to continue to follow this storm for you, that's for sure. Again, just to recap for you in case you are just tuning in now, tornado warning in the North Georgia suburbs. This tornado warning continuing for the next, let's say 15 to 20 minutes, goes until 2:45. Here's the Atlanta perimeter, and then just the north side of the area following this storm cell as it crosses 400 and eventually makes its way towards I-85.
We've already gotten reports of now pea and perhaps golf ball size hailstones with some of these storms, and the live shots now shows very, very heavy rain that's coming down, blinding rains at times. So if you live on the south side of the city, but you know someone that lives, say, in Alpharetta or north and west of Atlanta, please call them and tell them that they're under a tornado warning, meaning a tornado possibly has been detected on radar with a little rotation. We are watching this area, and it's a very dangerous situation right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Viv. And that camera, which is still on the left side of your screen, that is Northridge, right up on I-400 near Roswell, so near the heaviest rain and the hail. And look how slow people are driving. The visibility has gone way down in this area, and with that heavy rain and hail, people are driving with their flashers on. They're trying to get over to the right. There's ponding on the roadway, it looks like, on that left side of the road. And so, yeah, very difficult travel because of this severe storm that is moving through.
Not a bad idea to just pull over on the side of the road and wait it out for a little while with these blinding rains. Again, we're constantly getting in pictures. We want you to send us your pictures if you can do so safely, so that we can, of course, share this information with everyone. But we do know that very heavy rain, golf ball size hailstones, and possible tornadoes developing as we speak north and west of the Atlanta area.
So if you're in the Johns Creek area right now, it's barely even drizzling. That said, some of the heart of this storm is coming directly towards you. What we have on the kind of the top right of your screen is the timing for where there could be rotation in this storm if it tightens back up, and there is that potential. So Johns Creek, although barely raining, could have the worst of that rotating part of the storm by about 2:32. So not too much longer now, about 5 minutes for you. Use this time, get inside, get into the lowest level of your building, take this storm seriously. Meanwhile, north of there already, the 120 loop from Roswell and east from there getting absolutely hammered with large hail and extremely heavy rain.
And again, officially right now, we do have tornado warnings for this area. Again, in the Forsyth, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties, again, tornado warnings. That means that a tornado has been detected on radar. That's what we're talking about right now. We haven't gotten any official reports of anyone seeing a tornado, but we have had videos and pictures of possibly a funnel cloud in the area. So nonetheless, this is a very dangerous situation. If you live from the Roswell area over to Johns Creek, even south side of Alpharetta, very dangerous. You need to go to an interior room on the lowest floor of your home or office building. Get away from all windows and kind of wait this system out.
We just got a brand new look at the radar. First, the hail has really been increasing. All of those yellow colors on our hail tracker indicating that at least aloft, the potential is there. Hail size, more than 2 inches at this point, but for this tornado warning that goes until 2:45. So very impressive storm as it makes its way through the area, that's for sure. You know, let's jump back to the regular radar. We got a new scan in, and this is definitely a rotating storm. That is the classic shape to a supercell thunderstorm right in here. And Carl Parker in the lab has been monitoring for that rotation and following the supercell structure. Carl, what are you looking at now?
Yeah, you know, we're definitely talking about a storm that is rotating. That's the definition of a supercell storm. So it's got a very pronounced mid-level rotation on it, even down into the lower levels of the atmosphere. What we are not seeing right now is evidence, concrete evidence of a tornado, but we certainly are seeing evidence of large hail coming right into Roswell and that 400 corridor. So here once again, stepping back a little bit, there's the tornado warning, the latest Forsyth, Fulton, Gwinnett counties going until 2:45. The movement is east at 35 miles per hour. We'll zoom in on the cell here, and And so the most dangerous part of the cell, there are a couple of different threats. One is, of course, the circulation right in there. Tornado likes to sit right in that notch if there is one. So it's going to be right in here and moving along 140 and then generally headed towards Berkeley Lake and Johns Creek. And then to the north of that, you've got this tremendous core, which is now just moved to the east of 400. And along with that, we certainly could be looking at very large hail. In fact, a radar moments ago indicating that there was over 2-inch hail in at least the mid-levels of the storm. And so that often translates to about 2/3 of that. So we could have been talking about golf ball size hail coming down there somewhere along 400. We'll time out the circulation where the possible tornado could be. That would be getting to Newtown at 231, getting to Johns Creek at 237, and then getting to Sewanee at 250. So it's moving east, but a little north of east, and pretty rapidly at about 35 miles per hour. All right, let's take a look at the high-resolution radar and see what's going on with that. And there is the high-resolution radar. We got a scan just a little while ago, and again, evidence. Storm. There's the circulation right there. Here's the inflow coming in right there. So the tornado likes to sit right in that area there. And what we're looking for in that area is very strong, what we call gate-to-gate shear. And we're not really seeing strong gate-to-gate shear. What we are seeing rather is a looser area of rotation, sort of a broad area of rotation, and not that real tight circulation that we associate with stronger tornadoes. It's not to say that the storm couldn't produce a brief spin up. It certainly could, but at least right now, that's not what we're seeing. We are seeing a broader circulation. But again, talking about the potential for large hail, I'm going to outline this area, that deep magenta core right there. And when we go ahead and interrogate this and look for the gray is telling us that you've got more spherical objects, and the red is telling us that you've got flatter objects, and that is rain. Rain tends to fall flat, whereas hail falls, it tumbles, and it falls in a more spherical fashion. So this is still indicating that we've got very large hail with this storm. We could be talking about golf ball size hail. They're coming down right now in Newtown, and it's on the way for Johns Creek. It's going to be moving off to, again, the east, just a little north of east as it moves at about 35 miles per hour. Again, looking at the velocities here, still seeing a broad circulation in the velocities, and so at least right now, it does not look like we've got any sort of strong tornado on our hands. Not to say that we couldn't get a brief spin up with this, but at least right now does not look like a pronounced circulation. There's a closer look at where this is. And so there is that area, that deep core, right around Haynes Bridge Road and coming right up into Johns Creek. So if you've got any chance to move your car inside or underneath something where it could be covered, that would not be a bad idea at all. Look at what we've seen so far there. So right around Roswell and coming into 400, that's where we're talking about potentially hail sizes up to golf ball size, maybe even larger than that. So it certainly has been a hail-producing storm. It's supercell storms are known for being hail-producing storms, and we definitely have seen that. And then again, you've got that possible circulation on the southwest side of the cell. The radar indicating right now possibly 2-inch hail. So we certainly could be talking about golf ball size hail with this storm. So once again, you've got this circulation right in here. The tornado, if there was one, would be very close to Old Alabama Road and Jones Bridge Road coming up towards 141. So the movement is going to be right in here towards 141. But again, at least right now, we continue to watch these velocities, and we're not seeing pronounced circulation in the velocity. We're seeing a broader, looser circulation in this velocity. Mark, Viv, back to you.
All right, radar is loosening up a little bit, but we want you to know that we're still under a tornado watch, tornado warnings for Forsyth, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties right now. All of these counties just north and west of the Atlanta downtown area, but in the metro vicinity, so still very dangerous.
Yeah, we want to bring in a guest now to talk a little bit more about this. You know, we tell you guys to take shelter and take these storms seriously, so let's talk about that. What if you're a teacher and you have more than just yourself as a responsibility? We're going to bring in Jaron Henenbaum. Thanks so much for talking to us right now. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now that there is a tornado warning in your area. What's your plan right now?
Well, we have kids all in interior rooms downstairs in our building, and they are all in the dust cover position. And our main thing that we're trying to do right now, they are all safe.
And we are, you know, area, so we are obviously having some trouble with that signal. In case you couldn't understand, she said that the kids are all taking shelter. They're underneath desks, protecting their head in case there's any falling debris, and that's something that we tell you to do, is to get under stable furniture and make sure that you stay safe. And we're also watching a whole series of photos go by on your screen showing you what this storm looks like as it moves through the North Metro area.
Yeah, I'm sure the kids in school right now have rehearsed their tornado drills, and this time, of course, it's the real deal. So as we continue to watch the overall sky in the Atlanta area, this is pictures from, of course, Sandy Springs, which is north and west of the city, but very ominous there as we continue to follow the dark clouds, very saturated here with heavy rain falling with some of these thunderstorms. And again, tornado watch in effect for the metro area, and tornado warning remains in effect for another 10 minutes or so for Forsyth as well as Fulton and Gwinnett counties.
Yeah, Cobb, DeKalb, we're watching you as this storm moves through the North Metro area. Again, we have, in good news, lost some of that tighter circulation. In bad news, we've seen a big increase in the hail with this storm, and that can be just as dangerous. So Johns Creek getting hammered right now as that core of heavy rain and hail is moving in. Again, we've got that yellow color on the map. Anything in yellow here indicating hail size of 2 to 3 inches aloft. Now, we'll have to see if that makes it all the way in to the ground, because sometimes there can be collisions and you don't get that full size, but that is the hail potential with this storm.
But you talk about golf ball size hailstones, and when you get a lot of hailstones coming down, regardless of the size, that is very dangerous. So we want you to know that we have been dealing with hailstones, gusty winds, dangerous lightning too. That's another factor with some of these storms, a very electrified storm. But again, we're watching the upper air winds that's conducive for some twist as well, and that is why a tornado warning has been issued.
Yeah, this storm is now bending its way maybe a little bit further north, losing that right turn. Again, another indicator that we're maybe not seeing as tight a rotation in the storm. Again, that is the good news. The bad news is that we're still looking at a lot of heavy rain and a lot of hail, as this storm is now basically right in between I-400 and I-85. If you're familiar with the Atlanta metro area, on your screen right now, not only do we have the radar and the warning in the top right, we have a live look at Georgia 400 in the Roswell area, right near Northridge, if you're familiar with Georgia 400. And those cars that are moving away from the camera are that slow because they were going right through the heart of that storm. Reports of hail, heavy rain, zero visibility, and thus the big problems on the roadway. And then on the lower right of your screen, we're circulating through a whole series of photos. This one, incredible, the Sandy Springs photo, looking at that storm as it pushes towards Sandy Spring. You can clearly see that lowered base from the rest of the cloud. And Viv, a very dangerous situation, even if there's not a tornado.
Okay, let's bring in someone now. Greg Singleton, he's the assistant principal at the local high school, or the local elementary school in the area. Mr. Singleton, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what you're doing right now to prepare for these storms.
Well, right now we have our kids in their weather safe area. We were just about to dismiss for the day, so we have a lot of parents here for car riders. So we brought our parents in into the school. A lot of them have little kids, so we've just kind of try to get them out of the elements, and it's coming down pretty hard right now. Just waiting for this to pass.
Greg, is this something that you guys have talked about before and rehearsed in case there is a tornado warning at school pickup time?
Absolutely. We practice this at least 2 or 3 times a year. Our front office people are well prepared and ready for anything like this to happen. So yes, sir.
So the buses are ready. Were they slow coming in? Were they a little late coming in because of the heavy rain?
Yeah, they were actually a little late, and we've brought all the bus drivers in. The buses are here, but we've brought all the bus drivers in, and everybody's safe right now. So that's what that's our main concern right now, is keep everybody safe.
That is definitely the main concern. Thanks very much, Assistant Principal Singleton there, of course, to the local elementary school in the Atlanta area. Everyone is doing exactly what they should do in terms of trying to get this storm out of the way before they continue business as usual.
Yeah, and Carl, you heard it, the extremely heavy rain and hail, slow traffic. What are you watching now on the radar?
Yeah, you know, I think that's really going to be the legacy legacy of this particular storm. We've gotten a lot of reports of hail already. It's been quarter and $half size hail in Marietta. We know that the storm had potential to be producing golf ball size hail right around Roswell and south side of Alpharetta. And there you see accumulating hail there in Cobb County. So certainly a very mean storm coming across the north side of the Atlanta metro. There is still now a tornado warning in effect for Forsyth and Fulton and Gwinnett, but the status remains the same. We are seeing mid-level rotation in this storm. We're not seeing a lot of evidence of a very strong or a very tight low-level rotation, so not a tremendous amount of evidence of a tornado. That's not to say that we couldn't get a spin up when you've got a rotation like that. That's certainly possible, but it's not one of these really well-defined circulations that we associate with the tornadoes that we often see there in the plains in particular. So there's the latest on the warning going until 2:45. The movement is a little north of east at about 35 miles per hour. The little notch there where the tornado likes to sit is right around Johns Creek and around 141, and will be coming into the north side of Duluth. And we're now not even seeing as well defined of a notch there, an inflow, and the whole circulation appears to be really sort of loosening, so it's not as well defined as it once was. You just got this very broad, sort of almost like a shear line, very broad circulation right through there, and again, not a real tight circulation that we would associate with a strong tornado. So there may be a spin up or two with the storm, and that would likely happen from Duluth and then eastward right across the 85 corridor, and then eventually getting towards Hog Mountain at about 3 p.m. But again, we've been talking about this large hail within the core there, and that core is going to come right down and into Sewanee coming up in very short order. And the radar is still indicating that we are seeing potentially some large hail. We saw perhaps the largest hail right around 400. We've not actually gotten any reports of large hail from that area, but right around 400 is where we may have seen even larger hail than what was reported in Marietta. And again, that is generally going to be headed towards Sewanee and then towards the 85 corridor. There's a look at the forecast for the hail coming up towards Sewanee and Sugar Hail. Tornado warning again going until 2:45. Now let's take a look at the high resolution radar and see what the latest on that is. And there is still some evidence of the mid-level circulation right in there. We're still seeing that hail core. We'll look at the velocity data, and again, as we have seen for a while now, it's been like this for about the last 15-20 minutes. We're just seeing a broad circulation, so certainly you got to be careful in a case like this, but at least we're not looking at the most robust circulation in the world. And then we'll take a look at the that core where there could be very large hail. I'm going to outline that for you. We're going to be watching for the gray on the differential reflectivity, and we are not seeing as much of that either. So the storm may have passed its peak in terms of producing very large hail, but certainly could still be producing some hail there, and maybe penny to quarter-size hail coming from Johns Creek and over to Sewanee as it moves off to the east. And we'll zoom down a little bit for you, even a bit more. And the core of that storm, again, the wind, the hail coming towards Sewanee as we speak. To the south of that, you've still got some circulation and perhaps looking at potentially some tornadic activity along with that. There's a look at the 3D, and you can see how this big hail core punches well up into the atmosphere. You may have noticed that there was a lot of verticality in the clouds today. That's because you've got a very unstable atmosphere. You've got colder air coming in aloft. So as these thunderstorms punch up into the atmosphere, they're punching up into that cold air, and as a result, we can get that hail generation, that hail growth in the top part of the cloud, and that's how we've seen the hail so far. You're looking at the cloud straight down there, and there again is the track of the hail coming right into Johns Creek and generally towards Sewanee. So we'll continue to watch this cell carefully, but right now we are not seeing the most pronounced circulation. It looks like more of a wind and hail threat, and certainly a lot of lightning coming towards Sewanee. Mark Viv, back to you.
All right, Carl, thanks so much. And resetting just a little bit here, for those of you that are just tuning in, we do have a tornado watch over the Atlanta metro area through the rest of the afternoon. That then extends north and east from there through the Carolinas. We also have had a tornado warning on the north side of the Atlanta metro, the storm that we've been following. And the biggest threat that we've seen has been extremely large hail.
Yeah, those large hailstones, at least the size of golf balls and perhaps even larger than that when you look in the mid levels of the atmosphere, that could eventually make it to the ground. But we want you to know know that we're following this. These are scenes out of Cobb County, and you can see the hail basically accumulating on the ground here. So when you get that many golf ball sized hailstones, you talk about a very dangerous scenario.
Yeah, this is mostly small hail covering this deck, but we are seeing through the radar system the potential for much larger hail than this, including right over one of the major highways, the I-400 corridor on the north side of the area. Basically due north from Atlanta is I-400, and there is that potential for the hail to have gone right over that road and really slowed things down.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that we saw pictures earlier of Interstate 400 with just basically bumper to bumper traffic, and many of the elementary schools in the area are just getting out. Most elementary schools get out at about 2:45, so the timing could not have been better, of course, when you talk about the tornado warning right over the city for elementary schools to be dismissed.
There's the potential for that storm to be moving towards the I-85 corridor as well, bringing with it heavy rain and hail. So, you know, we're getting towards the commute time in the Atlanta area, and these big storms are definitely still packing a punch.
All right, we're here, of course, keeping you updated. The good news is that according to the radar, it seems as though the overall rotation is not as tight as what it appeared to be before on the radar, loosening up a little bit, but still the threat of large hailstones as well as gusty winds, dangerous lightning too. We haven't been following that, but this tornado warning remains in effect for Forsyth, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties. Again, counties just north of the Atlanta metro area. Well, actually, Fulton County, the northern part of Fulton County is the county seat for the Atlanta metro area.
We'll have to see if we get a new warning from the storm and east from here, because this one is set to expire in about 4 seconds or so. So National Weather Service doing a bang-up job today. They are the ones issuing these warnings. So there's the expiration of the tornado warning, but there's still large hail potential and gusty winds and certainly heavy rain. And right on cue, here is a brand new tornado warning for Forsyth, Barrow, and Fulton County. The National Weather Service saying, hey, this still has at least some rotation within this storm. They're still following it carefully, and so they are issuing a new tornado warning further east. This is the I-85 corridor as well as 985 almost through Lake Lanier. So we're talking Buford to outside Johns Creek, eventually to Brazelton also.
I mean, the thunderstorm itself on radar still looks pretty threatening. You can see how vivid these colors are as they approach the Buford area. So Barrow, Gwinnett, Hall counties, you just been issued a tornado warning. Now, it doesn't show any rotation right now, but definitely following it, because there is a good potential. Earlier, this same thunderstorm did have some tight rotation with it. So we want you to know that we're following it just south of the Sugar Hill area, and the thunderstorm itself continues to move off to the east to northeast at about 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, so kind of a broad, sheer line of rotation. No tight rotation indicating a tornado in progress, but enough rotation that we're still watching this storm carefully. We have some new video that we want to get to show you now from what this storm has been doing. And looking out from the Cobb County area towards this storm, so looking north and now northeast as Cobb County is now behind this main storm. Look at that kind of striated look to the sky, Viv. That is all that heavy rain and hail that is coming down from the base of the clouds, and potentially one or two areas of some lowering there in that zone of sheer rotation.
Oh, just looking out over the broad landscape, I mean, the skies just look very, very ominous and dangerous. This video, by the way, sent in to us from Jim Proler. Thank you very much, Jim. And we ask you to send in pictures and video. Of course, only do it if you can do it safely, but this just helps us to tell the big weather story. And again, we want you to know that we're still under a tornado warning to areas just east of Marietta, Georgia, and east of Alpharetta. We still have a tornado warning for Hall County as well as Gwinnett County. We're following this particular thunderstorm as we speak, and we've been following it for quite a while
Exactly.
now.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. Notice back here, this is that original storm moving all the way over to where we are now. So we started following it just to the west of Marietta in western Cobb and Douglas and Paulding counties. Now this storm is about to get towards Sewanee, and with that, we've got the timing on the map for you for the worst part of the rotation of the storm. If there's going to be a tornado, that's what's timed out for you on the screen. Sewanee basically now by 3:07 Brazelton, 3:13 the Pendergrass area.
And we want you to know that this particular thunderstorm has a history now of producing some pretty large hailstones. I mean, for the most part, they've been pea to perhaps near golf ball size hail, but definitely very dangerous, and a lot of them have come down at the same time. So when you get that many golf ball size hailstones or quarter size hailstones piling up on the ground, I mean, we've had reports of the golf balls just basically covering the ground in many cases. So the storm itself has the potential to produce those hailstones that could be very, very dangerous.
And let's talk a little bit about this storm structure while we have this zoomed in radar. Classic supercell shape, right?
Yeah.
We've got this kind of the bird wing zone out here where the upper level winds are fanning the precipitation outwards. But then we've got the mid-level rotation in here and inflow winds that are coming into that notch. So if there's going to be a tornado, it would be in this corridor where those wraparound winds and the inflow winds intersect and you get that kind of spinning motion. So again, that's why we've been timing out this area for a potential tornado. That's why that symbol's on the screen for you. The rest of the storm in that kind of bird wing shaped fan out zone, this is where we're looking for extremely heavy rain and the hail. And we've seen reports of a lot of hail coming down with this storm.
And we want you to know that a tornado warning has been issued, outlined in the red here, and that includes Lawrenceville, the Winder area, as well as Brazelton for the counties of Barrow, Gwinnett, and Hall.
And speaking of preparedness and being ready for storms whenever they show up, we want to bring in a guest now. Craig Fugate from FEMA, the FEMA administrator. Thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Hey guys, sounds like a busy afternoon.
It absolutely is, but hey, we're sharing the same message, right? Is that you have to take every warning seriously, but you have to be prepared before the warning gets there.
Yeah, and again, if you're in the warning, you need to get inside, get off the road, get as low as you can, get to those interior rooms with no windows, cover up, make sure everybody's accounted for. Again, you need to know what you're going to do and where you're going to go, but don't stay on the road. Don't stay outside in this situation. Get inside, get to shelter.
Yes, we've been stressing that over and over again. Of course, if you're in your car, you want to get out of your car. If you're close to a big, sturdy building, and go in that building to an interior room on the lowest floor of that building and get away from all windows, right?
Absolutely. We've seen too many lives lost in their cars. Get inside as quickly as you can.
How does the message change for you when you know that there are big storms, including warnings, going over major highways and interstates?
Well, again, we're watching it from afar. Our local officials are dealing with the response. And again, people can make lives easier for the responders by getting off the road, getting somewhere safe and staying there, and not getting out and trying to drive in this event. The responders are busy enough. They don't need to have to deal with people that didn't get to shelter in time. So, help everybody by doing your part. Get off the roads, get somewhere safe, stay there, so we can minimize the impacts.
Yes, we're trying to advise everyone that's watching us right now. Certainly, if you're in the warned area, do not try and leave your building. Just go to an interior room on the lowest floor of your building and get away from all windows.
And we're talking with FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate. One of the kind of the after effects of these big storms coming through is often loss of power, down power lines, a lot of emergency response vehicles coming into an area. Can you speak a little bit about that and how people need to react to that after a storm?
Yeah, be careful. Right after the storm is actually some of the most dangerous time with down trees, down power lines. Again, unless you have somewhere to go in an emergency, stay tight where you're at if you're safe. Let the utility crews and the responders deal with that emergency. But it can be very dangerous after the storm. So the best thing to do, unless you're in an area that's not safe, is stay where you're at. Let the responders and utility companies do their job. Down power lines can still be deadly even after the storm passes through.
All right, thank you very much, Craig Fugate with FEMA, a FEMA administrator, of course, keeping us updated, reiterating what you need to do in a tornado warning. And we do have a tornado warning right now for areas just north of the Atlanta metro area. This outlined area for Barrow, Gwinnett, and Hall counties, including the north side of Lawrenceville, as well as over to Winder. Please, you need to go to an interior room, get away from all windows. It does appear as though the thunderstorm itself is getting a little smaller and not as tight or not as ominous looking on the radar signature, but nonetheless still has a potential to spawn a little twister or a little rotation, and that is why we still have this tornado warning.
Yeah, we're still watching this area. This is the motion of the raindrops within the storm, and although we don't have a tight couplet of the green and the red real tight together, showing you that tight rotation, there's definitely a shear zone in here. There's a wind that's definitely moving as inflow right in here towards the storm, towards this notch, and then you have the rain cool there and the supercell rotation itself circulating back around. That is where we would be most concerned of a tightening rotation and a tornado to form, but we're not seeing indications of that right now. The warning is there because we certainly could. We're getting enough mid-level rotation with this storm to still be concerned.
And we have our own severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. He's joining us now on the phone with more details. Dr. Forbes, what are you seeing on this radar?
Well, I am still seeing the same kind of hook echo that you've been talking about there with, it's now off to the east of Sewanee heading up toward the Brazelton area. Has a pretty well-defined hook echo on that. Not extremely strong rotation at the lowest levels. I was out running an errand getting some prescriptions filled, so I saw the low-hanging clouds coming over from the probably from this storm initially that came off across East Cobb, and now there's another storm that's a weaker version of this that's probably heading pretty close to my location. So I may get a little bit of small hail here at my location before very long, but this is a bit of a surprise to some extent today. The worst of the severe weather was thought that it might hold up into South Carolina and then a bit of a gap over Georgia, but it was one of these marginal situations that's turned a little bit more than marginal. We do have, it's not the strongest kind of vertical wind shear, but there is some shifting at the surface from southwest winds to more west winds aloft, and with some sun coming out and still the muggy conditions, the cold front is coming into the area, so that is helping trigger, and that same upper air system that last week we talked about for so many days being stalled out over parts of the central plains and even the Rocky Mountains, that has really begun, parts of it have begun to really accelerate eastward. So we do have a little bit of cold air aloft that's coming in over top of that warm, moist air. So I'm not in a very good vantage point to be giving any kind of, there's lots of trees around where I am, so I'm not seeing anything in the way of dramatic clouds, but I did earlier while I was out getting a prescription filled to see the dark hanging clouds. So I thought this is looking a little bit more serious than we had originally thought.
Exactly. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking with severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes, who is basically out on the roads right now. And Dr. Forbes, it's not just this area of concern today, although we do have active warnings in the Atlanta metro area, but there are torcons up all the way through the mid-Atlantic.
This morning, I'm getting ready for follow-up to my cancer surgery and examination that I had cancer surgery last year, so I'm off away from the Weather Channel today, but I made forecasts from home this morning. There's a warm front that's up in the mid-Atlantic, southeast Pennsylvania, up into parts of New Jersey that has a little bit better shifting winds than what we have down in parts of the south and east. So I gave the Torcon a 4 up in that southeast Pennsylvania area and gave 3s all the way down to North Carolina at least. But from those morning weather conditions that I studied and the computer forecasts, it seemed like more farther down here that the Torcon values would be more in the 2 range. But that just goes to show that things can be develop a little bit more strongly in areas just adjacent to the ones that you were initially thinking. This is not a perfect science. 2 is still a 20% chance of seeing a tornado within 50 miles. It is not a 0% chance as we're seeing here.
And not only that, Dr. Forbes, but we also want everyone to know that just because the severe weather is breaking out right now in Georgia, we have those Torcon values up in, say, Philadelphia, so they too still need to be on guard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's some questions up there whether they'll get as much sunshine and as much instability. They've had some rain in the morning up in that area, so there's some questions about the instability. The source of rotation is there if they get the instability. There were some questions down in the southeast here whether there was an adequate amount of low-level winds and shear for a tornado threat. The instability was known that it was going to be there.
Dr. Forbes, let's talk more about the storm over northern Georgia around the Atlanta area. You said earlier you thought you saw a little hanging cloud from the main parent cloud, but tell me this, have you seen any trees down or anything like that?
No, I wasn't really out storm chasing. I had just gone out to fill a prescription, and so I only was out driving for a couple of miles to run that errand. So all I saw was some low-hanging clouds. One that made me say, that looks like a little bit of a wall cloud maybe there, but there's so many trees around that I couldn't get a real full perspective on the storm. I'm watching your coverage as I talk there, and some people, obviously, that have sent in some video, have gotten into positions that they've gotten some pretty good views of the storm, much better than I've had.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Forbes, we did absolutely see what appeared to be a wall cloud with one of those storms. We also wanted to tell you that we were watching that camera on the screen. That was a live view of I-85 at State Road 20. Recapping for you, that's an area that the storms could be heading to. So on the left side of your screen, where a big storm could be headed to, the top right of your screen is the tornado warning, which does include Buford and Brazelton, and basically right along the I-85 corridor itself. And on the lower right side of your screen, we're showing you views of what this storm has done so far. So in the Brazelton area, watch out. This storm is coming towards you, basically right along I-85 towards the Brazelton area.
Yes, so the tornado warning continues for Barrow Hall and Gwinnett County, so please, you want to keep it tuned to the Weather Channel for the very latest. In fact, let's go back out to the lab with Alex Wilson.
We're going to be staying on this as well. I'm out here in the lab with storm specialist Carl Parker. We've also got Sarah Dillingham here monitoring the severe weather reports that have been coming in. And we've seen plenty of hail out of this storm.
Yeah, this turned out to be a very large hail, right where we thought it would be, right along that 400 corridor. And we got golf ball size hail there. We'll take a look at where that is in a moment. And so here is the tornado warning that continues now for Barrow, Gwinnett, and Hall counties until 3:30. The movement on that cell is east at 35 miles per hour. It's actually a little north of east, though. It's not turning as much to the right as it once was. That is a characteristic of supercell thunderstorms, that they turn more to the right, and we're not seeing as much of that now. There is a closer look at where the little inflow notch is. So you've got a circulation that's sitting right in here, and you've got some warmer air coming into the inflow right in there, and that is where your tornado likes to develop. We're seeing a little more evidence of circulation than we have seen. For the most part, what we've been watching is a looser, broader circulation in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. So the middle of the storm is rotating, but what's really important is how much rotation are we seeing right at the ground, because that's how you get a tornado developing. And all along it's been this looser circulation, maybe just a little more evidence of circulation right now. So certainly Brazelton, you need to take cover here. It's going to be coming right up 85, and we do know that there is potential for very strong wind along with large hail. We did get reports of golf ball size hail once again in the Alpharetta Metro. So timing this out, it's going to be getting over into Hoshton at about 3:13. So coming right along 85, just a little south of 85, and again moving to the east and just a little to the north of due east. All right, let's take a look at some of the reports, Sarah, and show you what has happened with this storm already. And again, golf ball size hail, 1.8-inch hail, that occurring at Holcomb Bridge Road and 400. And we saw this really big backup along 400. Not a big surprise with a storm like that coming right across the highway. 1.3 there in Newtown, that is $half size hail. And then some wind damage, tree down on the roadway at Spalding Drive and Ball Creek Way. Not a whole lot of wind damage reports so far. It's largely been a hailstorm which developed over Marion Marietta. That's where we saw quarter size and $half size hail. And then we watched that 1-inch and golf ball size hail coming up into Alpharetta. Let's take a look at the high resolution radar picture really quickly and show you what's going on with that. So this hail core continues to sit here right along 85, right in there. We'll take a look at whether or not it's more gray or more red, and it's sort of in between right now, so it's still indicating that there is hail. It's not quite as pronounced as it once was. And looking for circulation, again, we're seeing evidence of sort of broad circulation, but it's been that way for quite some time now. So not evidence of any sort of real tight circulation, but nonetheless, there is potential for a tornado, and certainly that large hail coming right across the 85 corridor. Alex, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. Joining us now on the phone, Dennis Walzak from the Johns Creek area. Carl just showed that area as one of the spots that had seen hail. And Dennis, want to ask, I heard from my producer that you've been basically hunkered down in a basement.
Yeah, we heard the sirens coming from Alpharetta and South Forsyth and decided it would be safest to seek shelter across the street at our neighbor's house, where we saw, a good bit of wind, followed by heavy rain and about pea-sized hail.
And how much hail? We're looking at pictures from somebody else in Cobb County showing a good scattering of hail across the ground. How much did you see, and what was the largest hailstone that you think you saw?
Yeah, probably the largest that we saw was pea-sized, not much bigger than that. But, of course, we had the protection of a lot of trees, so only a few were getting through.
Absolutely, that helps. And how long would you say you were in that basement, or are you still there?
No, it seems like we're at a gap between two cells right now. We actually saw a little bit of sunshine a few minutes ago, but now the rain is starting to pick up and the sky is starting to darken again.
Absolutely. We've got another storm or two headed off your way. We're watching a few more. How were you able to get the alerts? How did you know to get to that basement?
Well, we were originally notified by our smartphones, and of course we tuned into the Weather Channel immediately thereafter.
And you are going to be, I guess, on call with that friend in case there are any more warnings issued through the afternoon?
You bet.
Absolutely, because I think something that maybe surprises a lot of people is not every home here in the Atlanta area does have a basement. So when you've got a neighbor or somebody close by that does, that's definitely a safe spot to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Dennis, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate it. We're going to continue to maybe be in touch with you if you get another one of those storms, but be safe.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
All right, let's take a look at some of the video that we've been getting in. And this one was shot by one of our own here at the Weather Channel. All the meteorologists and even non-meteorologists in the buildings hopped up to the 8th floor to catch a look at this. This is from Jim Proler, one of our awesome video team members here who took some great video. You are looking at that storm. We did see what appeared to be a lowering, perhaps a wall cloud. We saw the rain shaft and even a rain off this storm. So got some dazzling views of this from the Weather Channel headquarters, but obviously want to alert you to the danger of this storm. Want to take you now live. We are looking at some of the highways around the Atlanta area, and you can see some of those dark skies on the horizon as well, because the tornado warned storm isn't the only game in town in the Atlanta metro area. We've been watching some more storms off towards the north and northwest, even west of the city. Same areas that this storm did affect. There's a look at that tornado warning again for Bartow, Barrow, Gwinnett, and Jackson counties. Brazelton included within that, as well as Winder. This is working up towards the Chateau Alon area, if you're familiar with this stretch of I-85. So travel along I-85. If you know anybody who's driving that route, please let them know. Let them pull off at an exit, get to a secure spot. Again, not the only storm, but we will continue to monitor this threat across the East Coast, some big metro areas.
Look like this, feel like this. Look like this, feel like this. With DreamWalk insoles, turn shoes that can be a pain into comfortable ones. Their soft cushioning support means you can look like this and feel like this. DreamWalk.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available. Then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court. Call 1-800-950-MESO and see how we can help. Mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
Morning's got you a little... Grab the good energy of Quaker Oats, one of nature's most perfect energy sources. It's how we help keep go-getters like you going and getting, one bite at a time. Quaker Up.
Thanks for this Oreo caramel shake, Kara.
Can't believe you ordered all these shakes.
Yeah.
And how do you know her name?
Oh, I kind of have nicknames for everybody based upon my order.
Caramel, Kara. Yeah.
Holly for jalapeno chocolate.
That's
and
great.
Janine for peanut butter.
Why Janine for peanut butter?
Because she reminds me of my ex-girlfriend Janine, who was nuts.
She was crazy.
25 hand-mixed real ice cream shakes, all half price after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
Wow, sweet new Subaru, huh, Mitch? Yep. You're selling the Mitch Mobile? Man, we had a lot of good times in this baby. What's your dad want for it? Like 150 grand. 200 if they want that tape deck. You're not gonna tell your dad about the time my hamster had babies in the back seat, are you? That's just normal wear and tear, dude.
Subaru has the highest resale value of any brand, according to Kelley Blue Book. And Mitch. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I'm Sam. Jim's here as well this morning.
We're all in this together.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
that was good.
And if you're watching AMHQ, then you know we got you up and out this morning. We love to see your pictures. All you got to do is show us something that's amazing out there. Every picture you share, we'll try to share it as well.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. Currently in our area, 87 degrees, with a thunderstorm. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 73. Chance of rain, 50%. Tuesday, thunderstorms likely, high 88. Chance of rain, 90%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Sundays. One man's trash. This is perfect. Is another man's wood-powered Jeep gasifier. Brainstormers. Sundays at 9. Only on the Weather Channel.
We're here today asking kids what their favorite vegetable is.
Kids,